in the meantime.
Yes, sir, sure. So, madam, you can please.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, madam, please proceed.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all in 15th session of refresher program on innovative teaching learning methods. The topic for this session is designing learner-centric MOOCs, and speaker for this topic is Dr. Kapil Kadam from IIT Bombay. So let us see just small introduction of our speaker.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
So I think we have had session, and if the set of participants is the same, I would request you to skip this part, and we can directly go ahead.
Okay, sir, no problem.
If the set of the participants is same, yeah. Thanks.
Okay, sir, no problem. I will stop sharing my screen so that you
Yes,
can
ma'am.
share
Yes, yes, yes,
and
yes.
you can start your session.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Hi everyone. I hope all of you have had a great time in recent sessions, and I understand this is a third session that you'll be attending today. So please bear with me for at least next uh, 1+ hour, and let's hope that you guys find something useful for you. Okay. Okay. So in this session, I would be talking mostly about designing learner-centric MOOCs, that is LCM. And this particular session would be more of an informative, and we will definitely have some interactive activities like we had in the last session of mine, which is on ICT. Uh, so you can keep on participating. It won't take much of your time, so that, but it is important to participate. Okay. Okay. So let me start with the broader outline. So I'll be speaking about, or rather, we'll be discussing about what are MOOCs, then need for the learner-centric approach of the MOOC. Then I'll browse you through with the learner-centric MOOC, that is LCM model, and then majorly in this particular session, I would like to focus upon structure of learning dialogues, that is LEDs, and you will get to know what LEDs are. So, and then I'll try to take you through how certain factors, or how you can decide different LED formats. Then, if time permits, I can browse you through the LED constructor, and if not, the link will always be given to you, and you can explore and try your hands on that. Then we'll discuss some do's and don'ts in this particular part. If time permits, I can talk about the other part of the MOOC, which is LBD and everything. So let us start with introduction to the learner-centric MOOC. Okay, like I said, I have a warm-up activity for you. So consider a scenario one, which is consider a class in the 20th century, and then in scenario two, consider a class in 21st century. I would like you to come up with one difference between these scenarios, okay, and that is with respect to what students' access to information, and with respect to teachers' role, okay. You can take a minute or a few seconds to think about your answer, and I want you to post your responses in a chat window, okay. So here your time starts. Yeah, so I'm waiting for your responses. I absolutely understand it's going to be tricky for you guys to, be active after 2 sessions, but still, see if you can manage. Okay, so I could see some responses. Books in 20th century, role of teacher is facilitator. Then source of information like internet was not there in the 20th century. Students access digital media. Great. Google in 21st century. Students can access information from social media. That's really happening these days. Easy access to information. Students had access to books. Role of teacher was also okay, only books. Then incomparable 21st student has information at fingertips. Correct. 20th century teacher centric and 21st century student centric. Okay. Teacher role is facilitator. Teacher role is to make the students learn rather than reaching. Okay. Uh, then I can see that teacher's role is informative. Okay. So the whole idea of this warm-up activity, like I have been telling you, is to get your thoughts out. Like there are a lot of experiences and thoughts and teaching methods that you have been trying for your, teaching career. So this specifically tells me the one part of it. Okay, creating new learning techniques. In 21st century, students, teachers have access to e-resources, correct. In 20th century, students will, you know, study with different goals. They will study course from books, more teacher dependent. Teacher's jobs was to provide information that's bookish knowledge so that he can clear exams. So I'm just, trying to narrate from the responses in the chat box. Students were more dependent on teachers in 20th century. Correct. So all your points are really very valid, correct? And like I've been doing for last sessions also, I have a slide where I have, tried to compile these of your responses, and let us try to, summarize your thoughts. And I hope I have not missed any of these things. So let us get a clear idea of, how these two students or teachers can be compared. Okay. Okay, here I can read one more response. Learning is not required face to face or physical appearance contacting. Exactly, that's what we have been doing for last 1 year. Great. Conventional teaching and learning, 21st century experiential learning and project based learning. Okay, good. I could see a lot of thoughts are coming up. So you can stop responding now and let me try to summarize what you all are saying in a very short way. So if you could see in 20th century class, like all of you have said, information was at premium. So there was no internet, and the books were expensive, and access was limited to libraries, and so to the teachers or the one who has knowledge or who has read the books. So those who had access to information, correct, and they could transmit it effectively were highly valued, correct. Then that's why the students were mostly listeners or note takers, or they were mostly absorbing the information, especially during the lectures, and they're likely, do practice later on. So that is most common scenarios used to be there in the 20th century, like most of you have said. What happened in the 20th 21st century is information is no longer at premium, like most of you have said. So www, the world wide web, the internet comes in picture, and lots of accessible videos are there, demonstrations are there, animation, there are different, resources are available. Okay, so hence not enough for teacher to only transmit the information, correct? Like most of you have said just now, it is not sufficient for the teacher to transmit the information. And it's really difficult for a teacher or instructor to, compete with the World Wide Web, the internet. You can see the challenges are there. So it is necessary for teacher to ensure that students are able to assimilate the information. That is one of the major part that teacher has to do now through appropriate and timely practice. So the techniques we have to adapt to the new techniques, correct? So here the MOOCs comes in a picture. So in 21st century, the concept of MOOC is very well known these days. So if you could see the MOOCs, that is massive open online courses, they have become very popular, and definitely especially for the diverse learners. The purpose is to upgrade their knowledge and skills. Like some of you have said that everything has no need to be there face to face. So this is one of the feature of the MOOCs. And instructors or the teachers who are new for creating such MOOCs, they tend to focus on using the technology features to mimic their classroom actions, okay, which was there the face-to-face actions. So that was the most common scenario. Okay. So what MOOC has to do with it all? Okay. So definitely MOOC courses or platforms, they provide access to information anytime and anywhere. Correct. And the technology that MOOCs uses, or the MOOC technology or the platforms, they support, you know, especially in the scaling of the course access. Okay. What happens with the instructor is instructor, they or the teacher, they provide contents in the different formats, especially videos, slides, text, PDF, resources, and in other formats. Okay. And like what the learner has to do is learner can access content and do assessment. So this is a very known thing these days. So what are the existing platforms? There are NPTEL, edX, Coursera, Udemy, FutureLearn. A lot of platforms are coming up, right? So this is just a broad idea of what is MOOC. Okay, so I have one more question for you. So it is a scenario. So what scenario says is, in order to create a MOOC, an instructor creates a lecture videos. Okay. So first he creates videos, then provides some exercises, and then clarifies their queries on discussion forums and does some assessment. Okay. So what has this instructor missed? Can you think of what instructor has missed in this particular scenario? You can take a few seconds or a minute and post your responses in a chat window. Okay. Okay, so the professor is saying that physical expression of the students, face-to-face communication. Great. So this is how things are coming up from your side and your experiences, which are very valid. Feedback of students. This is one of the important aspect, I would say. Understanding of student at that particular moment. Correct. That is really one of the important aspect. Even I would agree on that. Real-time interaction not properly done. Correct. Continuous one-to-one feedback missing. Yes. Classroom environment. I think most of all of us are missing that particular part, even in this pandemic, I would say. Great. So, I would agree on all of your responses because this is something also I have to say. So, you have done half the part. Student to student interaction is less, correct? Because, yeah, the learner interaction within themselves is also missing. Okay, no spatial attention. Yeah. So to compile your responses, I have I can in addition to what you have said, let us see what I have to say. So what's missing in this particular scenario was, like most of you have said, attention to learner motivation is missing. Okay, attention to the learner motivation. Then getting learners to express their reasoning, that could be missing in this particular scenario. And opportunities for immediate micro application could be a missing part, like feedback or anything. Then formative assessment and instant feedback, like most of your set, is also missing in this particular scenario. Then there are certain specific or explicit activities for fostering peer learning is also missing. So learner to learner interaction is missing. Then what's missing is ensuring the learner connect during the MOOC. It's also missing. And on top of all this, I have to say that established theories of how people learn could be missing. Okay, so there are different theories that talks about how people learn in certain situations or scenarios, or depending on the instructional method. So this is in addition to what all of you have said, some of the repeated points, but this is what is missing. Okay, so what traditional MOOCs are doing, like what we have seen is traditional MOOCs can provide you information, provide anytime, anywhere access to learner for specifically one information in the form of lecture resources, then assessment, which can have activities and exercises, then discussion forums with peers and instructors. This is what the traditional MOOCs are talking about. And what are the common MOOC problems for the implication that may persist is low student engagement, okay, then low participation in the discussion forums or low completion rates. So these are the major or common MOOC problems that could persist and are really important to think upon whenever somebody wants to go online and create a MOOC kind of courses. Okay, so the engagement problem gets worsened in MOOC settings, especially when there is a distance, scale, and diversity of learners are all high. If these things are high, the engagement problem worsens. So when there's a huge number of learners, it's really difficult to do that. Okay. So in order to summarize what MOOCs in 21st century has to do is, where teachers are new to creating MOOCs and they tend to focus on using technology for mimicking the classroom. Okay, while it's of course it is necessary to be aware of the technology affordances, but the important part is to consider the pedagogy, like how to use the MOOC features effectively, or how effectively we can use the technology. Like I was telling you, how effectively we can utilize the ICT tools and how effectively we can integrate the pedagogy. So, so the important part is MOOC instructors need to need to have set of design principles and guidelines to create learner-centric MOOCs. Okay, and yeah, so what might go wrong if we just mimic a typical classroom? if I just go on to repeat what I'm doing in a classroom. So what happens in a typical classroom? You can think of teacher-centric class or the 20th century class. Standard 1 hour lecture cannot cannot be too engaging. Okay, then lecture and homework at the end is known to be not too effective. So even if asking questions in between, like have you understood, are there any doubts you have, only few students normally respond. That's typical classroom scenario we have. So that results in a problem of engagement and as well as the effectiveness that can worsen in Mooc settings if we just try to mimic the typical classroom. Okay, so what is the quick takeaway for all of us is to don't try to mimic a typical classroom, whether it's creating Moocs or even if going online. Okay, so yeah, so instead you can incorporate effective learner-centric approaches. Okay, so to summarize some of the challenges in Mooc, I could talk from the perspective of the funnel of the participation. So you could see that there is a huge awareness among the learners or in the market about any Moocs. Then there is a filtration in the registration. Then not all who register do all the activities. Not all those who do activities or register can complete the course or to finish the entire course or the assessment. So that's the funnel of the participation is one of the challenges in the Mooc, so which can be considered, it's a huge challenge, especially the dropout rate. The dropout rate is high. Okay, and also even if there are well organized and well presented Moocs are there, but they could lack good instructional design. Right? That is one of the challenges. Also those who create Moocs can they pay very less or inadequate attention on existing research on pedagogy, specifically how you can utilize the technology. So these are some of the challenges that you can think of about Mooc. So this results in the need of learner-centric Moocs because it is not sufficient to focus only on the technology features, but also not effective to mimic the typical classroom. The need is to incorporate learner-centric approaches. Of course, by using technology affordances. Okay, so now that I've been talking about learner-centric, and most of us are also, quite familiar with the learner-centric term. I want you to understand from your side that what is learner-centric pedagogy or approach that you know or you understand by. You can take a few seconds or a minute to think about your answer, and please post on chat window in chat window. So it's a very simple question. It's a what is learner-centric approach? Okay, so you're simply saying flipped classroom is learner-centric approach. Okay, so you're talking about some teaching methods, some pedagogies based on. So I would suggest that instead of giving some phrases, please complete your sentence so that a reader can very well understand what exactly you mean by when you say flipped classroom.
No, unmute and so no problem, sir. That will be convenient as per your convenience.
Yeah, that is also fine. No problem. No problem. So whoever wants to say,
Yes,
you
yes.
can unmute yourself and speak up. No problem. Yeah, so these phrases are really important. Okay, so I can. So this is just to get your understanding about the learner-centric. So don't bother. Learner is made to think and answer. Correct. Based on type of learner. So I can say that. So yeah, so the teacher is considering there are different types of learners, and accordingly they tailor their instructions. Could be possible elaboration. project-based learning and problem-based learning. Okay, so these techniques can provide certain environment where students, get the way he wants to learn about it. Okay, MOOC courses are learner-centric. I would say not all MOOCs are learner-centric. There are MOOCs which are just, informative, and you can, it could be passive ones. Learner requirements are more focused. Okay, we can say that, to provide the information which learner want. Okay, so something that learner wants to learn. So yeah, this is a very interesting point. So all of us should think as a teacher community. So most of the times when I talk when I start any session of mine, so see, all the teachers and the speaker, we all assume that learners are really keen and interested into learning something that we want to teach them. But in reality, we face problems where only few percent of students are attentive, right? I think everyone can agree on that point. So that's really challenging. We have to keep on verifying our these assumptions every year, and rather than we focusing on keep making it learner centric, because students have taken admission to the course, especially engineering, we think that they will focus the entire time, but which is not true, and that creates a lot of problems to the teachers in tailoring the courses, as well as the whole the management of the course, I would say. Okay, what Professor Gaude has to say, learners should ultimately understand what we want to convey. Yeah, so yeah, that is like aligning your learning objective. uh, Activity based, correct. Cooperative learning is learner centric, possibly yes. Hands-on training could be yes, possibly yes. Yes, so the whole idea is to get your thoughts about learner centric, and most of you are either close to it or either correct about it. So I won't say anything is wrong in that. So mostly activity based, or there are things like called as active learning strategies. So the active learning strategies can really define the learner centric approach. So what are these active learning strategies? Okay, so the active learning techniques where students go beyond listening, they go beyond copying notes, they go beyond execution of pre-prescribed procedures, you know like a few of you have said, making them do some activity or engage them into activity. So where students are asked to figure things out during the class, it's like making them think about something. Then, like you said, teacher can design certain activities that require students to talk, write, reflect, and express their thinkings. So some of you have mentioned this part also. Okay, so even if you want to do these active learning techniques, it should not be very intuitive most of the time, but it should be well researched. So what I mean is, these techniques should be based on theories of learning. So some of you have mentioned some techniques, and these could be evaluated repeatedly through empirical research. So suppose if you're not following any theories of, or if you're not reading, but intuitively based on your experience, you think that this 5 minutes activity will definitely help students in learning my topic or these subjects. So you can try it out once, twice, thrice, 10 times, or with different set of students, and then you can observe if the same things, is giving the same benefit. Then this is how you can evaluate with repetition of your techniques. Okay. So yeah, broadly, why learner-centric MOOC, or why learner-centric is, so this learner-centric allows you to go beyond listening, allows your student or the learner to go beyond listening. Then it allows you to do immediate practice. Then it allows learner to figure out things or figure things out, and then allow learner to express their thinking, also to learn from peers. So these are the things that are really important. So most of you have covered these points. So why LCM? Okay. So there is a need of shift of attitude of the teacher or the instructor. Like like I've been discussing, the attitude needs to be shifted from content oriented to learning oriented. So learner-centric doesn't just mean learner oriented, but it should be learning oriented. What learning has to happen, or what is the objective that, like some of you have said. Okay, and it should go from how well am I explaining to how well are they learning. Okay, so that is a really important factor that you can think of. Okay, so again, in continuation with this part, I have a term called, I'm introducing this term reflection spot, which is again activity. So consider a MOOC module on a topic that provides a set of 10 short videos, right? 10 short videos, I'm saying. And after watching these videos, the students or learners are given some practice questions. 10 videos, some practice questions. Then the module also has some additional resources on that topic or on those topic, and a discussion forum. Okay, quite familiar with these terms? Yeah. So I have a question for you. Is this a learner-centric MOOC? You can say yes or no. And if you, whatever choice you are giving, I would expect you can give a reason, or if you want to mute, unmute, and tell, you can simply do that. Okay, so post your responses in a chat box. Okay, so you're saying this is not learner centric. I tend to agree, but can you think of something why it is not learner centric?
So instead of writing, sir, shall I speak about my choice?
Yeah, sure, no problem, no issues. I would be happy to listen to you.
So I think it is a learner-centric MOOC because you have the learner can watch the videos at their own pace, and they will have whenever they will have at their own convenient time. And secondly, it has a discussion forum, so it makes the topic there is active engagement also, like whether the learner has any problems, it can be discussed at the discussion forum. And there are some practice questions which the learner can definitely solve after watching the videos, and hence the learner actually learns about the topic effectively through these activities, through videos and discussions.
Okay, yeah. So I agree some of your points because we have provided some resources for learner to learn. So this is more like self-paced learning kind of a thing. But can you tell me how can you ensure that students will participate in the discussion forum, or they will not skip doing the activities, or they may go through the additional resources that we have given, or the way they are watching the videos? I mean, I'm just trying to discuss, so don't take
Yes,
it out of
sir.
it.
So if there is a formative assessment and evaluation, then one can gets to know whether the learner has watched the videos, attempted the quiz, and taken
Correct.
part in the discussion forums.
Great, correct. So we need some interference, right? So we need to ensure that some active thing is happening from the learner side. Correct. Okay, yeah. So
On the other hand, yes, on the other hand, actually it is an independent type of learning. So here the learner would be an independent learner, not very much dependent, though the resources have been provided to the learner, the videos and the additional resources, notes, and all that. But still, the learner is having an urge to learn, and he's an independent, like he's doing it independently without any supervision.
Correct. I really like the the way you have confidence in the learner, because that's what I was speaking just few minutes back. So as a teacher, we really believe in our learner that they will do these things because the things are available for them. But these are challenges. If you could see the data, or even if you can, even if in live classes, not the very less percent of students response and participate unless there is some monitoring from the teacher side, or unless there is some goal. So yeah, definitely they will tend to learn the course. But what I would like to highlight the difference between learner centric and the regular method is, so most time we design this learner centric courses in such a way that we students are tend to participate in this activity. They are tend to do something. There is some active engagement happens. So, and that is with respect to the course instructor or the peers. So we cannot just let, they might have learned, they might have participated, they might have solved, they might have watched the videos. So that factor is, we have to consider. So yeah, so given that, I can say that this particular scenario is not a learner centric MOOC. Okay, it could be a MOOC and it could benefit learners definitely. So I agree some of your points that learner will learn, but not it cannot be a learner centric MOOC. Okay, so yeah, so there are few responses saying that 10 videos may not learning to the students. Okay, the topic may not create to interest possibly. Yeah, you don't know whether the learning has happened. Yes, possibly. Okay, so in addition to what you have said and some of the responses are saying, uh, this is why this is not a learner centric MOOC. Okay, see, I'm nowhere saying that if it is not learner centric, that learning will not happen. I'm not at all saying that. Okay, we're just talking about uh, how more we can make the learning better, which learner centric approaches. Okay, so like I was telling you, in this particular scenario, learners could simply passively watch the videos and demonstration. So they could simply watch it like some cricket match is happening or some movie is happening. They might not have some active engagement, or they might just watch it. Okay, they could be simply observers. They may skip doing activities, we don't know, unless if we are monitoring it. Okay, especially the ones which are not aligned with their grades or not with no incentives. They may ignore additional resources, extra readings, which is very common with among the students. And like I said, they may or may not participate in the discussion forums. So these are the there are because of these things, it cannot come under learner centric. Okay. So basically, like I was saying, the initiative is left to the learner for doing practice, reading, assimilation resources, and learning from peers. It's all things we have kept for the learner, like you said, independent learner. Okay. So what is the missing part in this? Why it is not learner centric? Okay. The missing part is attention to the learner motivation, like one of you said. Okay. Okay. Or whether it's interesting or not. And the missing part could be getting learners to express their reasoning, could be immediately. And then there are missing opportunities for immediate micro application. So something if you want them to reflect immediately after the video or something. Then formative assessment and instant feedback could be missing. So these are the things that we were discussing a few minutes back. Okay. Then specific or explicit activities of peer learning could be missing. Also, it could be missing that how you can ensure the learner connect during the MOOC. Okay. Again, the theories of how people learn could be missing. Okay. So these are the possible things that could be missing. So what needs to be done in order to avoid these things in learner-centric MOOC? Okay. So the instructor or the teacher needs to design activities that requires student to do immediate practice. that requires students to reflect and express their thinking. Okay, then these activities should make students to go through resources. So you can incentivize these activities. Also, even if it is a discussion forum, it should require students to learn from their peers' feedback. Okay, so these are the things that needs to be considered. What should be done? So yeah, coming to the point where I want to just give you overview of the learner-centric
Will you just
model.
elaborate the last point?
Learning from the peers' feedback.
Yes, please.
Yes. So I will come with this when I'll talk about. Okay, I'll just explain it over here. So if you remember in the last session where I had asked you to post on a Padlet, so everybody posted on a Padlet. So there was an option where others can also comment onto the same post, okay, and others are allowed to give feedback, or teacher can also give a feedback, constructive, positive, negative, whatever feedback. So in the Mooc environment, if we have a discussion forum where we are asking students, so you have to comment on others' posts. You have to give feedback to the students if that has been instructed by the teacher. So whatever feedback they're receiving from their peers can be taken and can be discussed, and it could facilitate some brainstorming, some discussion among the student, which would lead them to learn. So more of a different form of collaborative learning. So that's what I want to highlight over here.
Okay, you mean it is like more guided kind of feedback?
So guided feedback can be given. No. So guided feedback is if instructor is giving, it's a guided feedback. But if it is from peers, it could be a discussion, right? So normally in non-MOOC or in a face-to-face classroom, if my friend is telling me, hey, you should not do like this way, you should follow the other method, or here you went wrong, the better way to do is this. So that kind of feedbacks are also really important. So how to facilitate that in online environment to ensure in learner-centric model is to initiate from the instructor side. So just simply saying that discuss on the discussion forum will not ensure that they will participate in the discussion. But if you initiate, like you said, guided post, then or if you could incentivize that, this could lead into some more learning. Yeah, that's what I tried to say. Is that clear, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So yeah. So I was talking about the LCM model. Okay. So here you could see there are different factors of a learner-centric MOOC model. So it starts with learning dialogues, then learning by doing, learning extension trajectories, and learner experience interaction. So mostly this only one session is covers this one part of this, and I would briefly just introduce you this other part. So let us broadly take a look at each aspect of it. So learning dialogue in LCM model is nothing but the content plus a reflection spot. I will definitely elaborate on this part in the further instructions. The learning by doing is comprises of doing activities and customized feedback. Okay. Then learner extension trajectories, you can think of resources plus assimilation quiz. And then learner experience interaction. So these are the terminologies, and the learner experience interaction is like having focused question for discussion, peer interaction, and reflection quiz. So connecting back to your previous question, so on a LCM platform, teacher can have a focused question for discussion. So rather than waiting for students to initiate the discussion, teacher can initiate the focus question, and you can keep on guided or give leads to that. Okay. Okay. So let us have a sneak preview of creating learner-centric MOOC. So you can keep on connecting back your classroom scenario. Okay. Typical classroom scenario where you have lectures and demos, Then you have some assignments and activities for students. Then you have different interaction, and one of them could be instructor learner or teacher learner interaction. Then like interaction between students, that is learner learner interaction. Some additional readings or additional resources that we normally provide, and exams for the evaluation purpose, that is exams and assessment. So this is a typical classroom scenario we can think of. Now can we try to categorize or differentiate these things in something like this, where you can have lectures and assignments, interactions separately, resources and assessment separately. Now what LCM model comes up with is, okay, so these lectures and demos, in LCM model, we have learning dialogues for that. Okay. So learning dialogues, broadly to tell you, it's a video of your lecture video, but it is not just only plain video, but have different elements in between, which I'll mention in the upcoming instructions. Okay. Then these assignments and activities are learning by doing activities. Okay. This is LBD in a LCM model. And these interactions that we have, instructor learner could be response and feedback interaction. Then we have LXI for learner learner interaction, that is learning experience interactions. Okay, the additional readings could be LXTs, that is learning extensions. So don't get confused with the terminologies, because you don't need to remember everything at the moment. I'll share the resources and you can again keep you can go through it. Okay. So exams and assessment is like knowledge consolidation. It's a very standard thing. Okay. So to begin with, I would like to start with the learning dialogue, which would consume most of the part of this session. Okay. So the structure of learning dialogues, that is LEDs, it has content plus reflection spot. I would like to mention session or this part objective as you will be able to describe the LED structure. You will be able to choose reflection spot. This is not possible at this particular given timeline we have. It requires a lot of time to create your scripts for everything, but always you can later on access this information. Okay, so learning dialogue or LED is normally promotes concept acquisition through learner interaction. And how do we do that is, here if you could see the structure of LED, that is learning dialogue, where you have content, a reflection spot and a content. Okay, so before speaking about this part, I would like to show the dynamics of learning dialogue. So it's a very simple flow diagram. You could see there is an instructor, there is a learner, okay, and there is a learning dialogue. Okay, so learning dialogue is nothing but a video, a content video, a reflection spot, and a subsequent content. So instructor creates learning dialogue, learner accesses learning dialogue, responds to the reflection spot, and then I can access it to the content. Okay, so this is a dynamics of learning dialogue. So this learning dialogue structure. So basically, okay, just give me a moment to specifically go to the point. Okay, so this learning dialogue promotes concept acquisition through learner interaction. This particular learning interaction I'm talking about. So broadly speaking, this content could be a video explanation, okay, and that is topic having one or more reflection spot. You can have more reflection spot, and this reflection spot is a point where the video, you can pause the video, or the instructor can pauses the video and poses a question or gives a brief activity, and the learner is expected to respond to the question or the activity. That could be directly over there, or just to make the learner pay attention to this particular question. Okay, and after that the instructor can conclude this entire LED by responding to those answers to the reflection spot, and then addressing the commonly expected responses. Okay, so to tell you exactly the LED structure, here is what I have to talk about. This content could be a short video explaining a concept or event, or a text like most of us do. And the reflection spot could be a logical pause, where learner is made to reflect on the content and express their thinking. So this is not exactly mimicking the classroom, but in the online environment and in the asynchronous mode. Conceptually, reflection spot is a question to make the learner pause, reflect on the preceding content, and express their thinking. Suppose you have a 10 minutes video, and after 5 minutes you want to ask a question, you can simply give a reflection spot. So where and how to give a reflection spot is very concept specific and a teacher specific, correct? Depending on the one who is designing, but it is recommended to have at least a couple of reflection spot in your 10-15 minutes video. Okay, so this will provide a micro practice. Most commonly, or operationally, if you have to think about this, reflection spot can be implemented as a MCQ, multiple choice question, or fill in the blank, or 1-2 line answer questions. So if you remember, even in the live interaction that I am having with you, I have been asking you a lot of questions. I've been asking you to respond in the chat window in today's session. So you can simply have similar kind of activities, a similar kind of reflection spot in your video. Okay. So broadly, this LED promotes concept acquisition through learner interaction. This is the dialogue. Okay. Now, why we are calling this a dialogue could be an interesting thing for you to understand, because we are interested on some responses from the learner in the form of this reflection spot, and it should trigger that thinking among learner, even if they're watching the video. Okay, even if they're thinking about the question. Otherwise, it could be simply a monologue and one-way transmission of the information. Okay? So that is the major difference. Correct? So the goal of this LED should be, like it's already known, to provide conceptual knowledge with explicit spots for learner to express prior conceptions, do micro practice, and reflect on their understanding. So here I would like to show you one example of LED, okay, where you can have you can see that this is a screenshot from a lecture of Professor Sridhar here. So here you could see that this is screenshot of initial part of the video, and then there is a pause point where the instructor is asking a question. Why don't we just watch this video where let me see. It's a very small video. It's a computer science concepts of UDP. Okay.
So do you want to just play the video or audio also?
You're not able to hear the audio?
No, no.
Oh, that's strange. Just give me a moment.
Sure, sir.
Now we come to Unity, which is a file.
Are you able to hear now?
Are simple
Okay. Sorry, there was some issue with my microphone. Sorry.
protocol than TCP. Now we come to UDP, which is a far simpler protocol than TCP. So UDP is basically called a transaction-oriented protocol, or it's for simple queries and responses. Okay. It is suitable for applications which can tolerate some loss. What do we mean by applications which can tolerate some loss? Essentially, application, let's say you're watching a video, okay, and certain parts of the video are not very easy to see. Occasionally it happens. So applications like that are often built on top of UDP. So the key idea here is that we want most of the information to go through, but we want them to go through another of them.
Okay, so I'm just moving the
Having
video
had a brief
forward.
glimpse of TCP and UDP, let's take a reflection spot. For which of the following would TCP be the ideal transport layer protocol? A, making telephone calls, B, a live video stream, or C, securely logging in to a remote connection. Take a moment to think about it. Which one will be your answer and why? And then you can proceed. So if you think about it, we'll see that A and B, which is basically the telephony and the video streaming application, are tolerant to delays. Okay, and the connection-oriented nature of TCP is really not required, because then there would be some additional delay.
Okay, so this particular part was to demonstrate you how this particular video has a reflection spot. So you could see that the initial part of the learning dialogue. So the entire. Just give me a moment. Okay, yeah. So this particular timeline has a video content or the explanation of concept with a video and a text format, right? So the teacher is explaining something. Now, after this particular moment, teacher thinks that he should ask students a question or some reflection question, like, so that has been addressed at this particular timeline. Okay, so the reflection spot here, it is a multiple choice question. So here the teacher is asking student to pause the video. Now, there are a lot of questions that even I generate when we do all this, make all these videos. So whether students will pause or not doesn't matter, because the question is there, and in the subsequent part, in the continuation part, the teacher will anyhow explaining this answer to the question, and not necessarily this should be just a question, but should be the subsequent part of this particular content, right? So here the first part is content, then you have reflection spot, and then the subsequent content is explanation of this particular question. So that is how we can think of a reflection spot. Now, I hope you have got some idea of the reflection spot, but I want you to think upon one advantage of putting a reflection spot from learner's point of view. There could be something, a lot of things that you can have from teacher's point of view, but can you think one advantage from learner's point of view, and can you post it on the chat? Yeah. Learner can check his understanding. Exactly. Correct. Yes, learners get break. Correct. Very absolutely correct. It doesn't become monotonous. Correct. Learner will be thinking about content and flashback will be there in his mind. Correct. He can anyways connect back and forth to what is happening, even if he misses the instructions. He remains active in learning. Yes. There is a continuous engagement, improve his listening skills. Okay, correct. Learner will come to know he is understanding correctly. It will make the learner active instead of just being passive listener. Absolutely, all of you are talking in those similar lines. Correct. Okay, so yeah, in agreement with your statements, I have to just say that. So whether learners have understood previous content or not, that's what you can get from learners' perspective. Then it will break the monotony of the just delivering the lecture. Like you said, learners will get a break. Then it will bring learners engagement with content of the video. So these are the some advantages of putting reflection spot into it. So what is a basic difference between learning dialogue versus a content delivery video or the normal video that we have? Okay, so content delivery videos are normally long, whereas LEDs are short. So the LCM feature of LED suggests that the video should not be more than 10 minutes or something like that. It could be around that because the attention span is not good. Okay. LED focused on topic. So basically you have to create a chunk of the content. Okay. That is a very common difference between the regular content video, content delivery video, and a learning dialogue. So again, I would have to emphasize on certain aspects of this content, or I would like to re-emphasize on that. So when we're talking about the concept acquisition, so this particular content part could be a short video that explains a single concept. The duration should be less than 10 minutes. It could be text readings, it could be animation, simulations, and demonstration if you want to have it. This could be anything, any of these things. Okay, so this is the content part of it. Okay, just to make you highlight about this particular LED part is what it is. It is about promoting the concept acquisition through learner interaction, where you can provide conceptual knowledge with explicit spots, which are reflection spot for expressing and micro practice and reflection. Okay. Now, definitely there is something to add upon the reflection spot. I've already spoken about certain things. So as we know, it's a reflection spot is a pause point. And yeah, the reflection spot is a question. Okay. And this can be implemented. The 2 points I've already discussed. The reflection spot can be implemented as a MCQ, fill in the blank, and 1 to 2-line answer question. This is just to summarize about the reflection spot. And to specifically talk about the reflection spot, this is a logical point, and moreover, it is a structural point where learner may get disengaged with one-way transmission, like most of you said. This is really important to remember. Okay, so to disengage learner with just one-way transmission, I have a activity for you, but this is I'll be I'm skipping this because I don't want to have it on a chat window. Let me see if we can get back it or not, because there are other contents that I have to cover. Okay, so like I was talking about why reflection spot, already we have discussed about it. Okay, there is some benefits of reflection spot already we have mentioned, already you have talked about. So just okay, but this is the standard standard benefits of reflection spot, where definitely we have a learner engagement with the content, since learner has to do something, okay, to express their ideas via MCQ or free form writing. and then again connecting to the immediate preceding content. Okay, connecting to the immediate preceding content. That is the important benefit of reflection spot. Then reflections, you have to remember that this particular reflection spot is not meant as assessment. Don't consider this as an assessment. Okay, so it's not just that I'm talking about it. We have a lot of research evidence which says that there is a lot of drop off in the first few minutes when they're watching the videos, even if you can consider this in a live classrooms. So the research, the findings say that one question per 8.7 minutes increased engagement to 70 to 85, 86%. Okay, it's huge for the teacher from teacher's perspective. So average retention rate in one of the FDP courses was 70% of almost for LED videos, and it is less for the regular videos. So that is quite significant difference you could see. That's always some achievement from the teacher's perspective. So participants highlighted that relevance and usefulness of LEDs there, which is really important. Okay. Okay, so just to make you go through this, the learning dialogue has content which is a short video, text or animation. Reflection spot, make learner pause, reflect, express, micro practice. This the continuing content could be summary with expected answers and a continuation. Okay, so what LED takeaway is for you is include reflection spot in your videos, and it should be connected to the preceding content and give opportunity to the learner. Okay, so yeah, now I have been talking about what is LED. So last few minutes, I would like to make your attention to, okay, deciding formats of LEDs. So LED is a video. Okay, so deciding the format of LED. So there are a lot of queries and things that were there for the last, at least for the last year. The requirement is high when we were training, different institutes to create their Mooc courses. So we learned that the major challenge was deciding the format of LEDs. So this LEDs, which is not just a video, it is more about content creation, and the content creation involves, so I'm talking about content creation, not the curation. So planning of the video recording, okay, then video recording, and then video editing. Okay, so while planning the video, most of us, what we think of is preparing content, that is PPTs, PDF, those file slides, basically the content slides which we see on the left, right. Then identifying the chunks, like how much part of the content should be covered in this video, how much should I go on, right? And then deciding the specific video format. Okay, so I have a quick question for you. This time I want you to go to Mentimeter and think about this question. Specific to your course or any course, which of the following ways you would be mostly required to teach course topics for your Mooc? If you can think of creating your own Mooc, so can you? I mean, what is your preference? You want to have presentation using slides? You want to look at the learners all the time, or you want to write or sketch on digital whiteboard? What is your requirement? Then are you required to present while looking at the learners? Are you required to write sketch while looking at the learners? Some combination of the above. What exactly is your requirement? I'm just posting this in a chat box. Okay, you can select multiple options. Okay, so go to menti.com and use this code T4464230. You can simply go to the Mentimeter. Okay, and you will be able to, yeah. You can select multiple options. It's a very quick activity. You don't need to bother much about it. So this is the slide that I have kept open, that you can understand the question. And these options are already provided over there. Yeah. Take a minute to think upon. Okay, I could see some responses are saying done. Okay, now I intentionally kept this Mentimeter activity so that you can, revisit this Mentimeter which we had in the last session. Okay, so you could see that yeah, here you could see that preferences from different teachers you could be able to see. Okay, so can I say that maximum people are saying that writing, sketching on digital whiteboard is what they intend to do, is what they require. Yeah, that could be a content specific. Okay, so these are the needs or the understandings, need analysis. Okay, yeah. So yeah, there are like, okay, done. I wait for some more time, half a minute or something, because I could see people are still responding. Meanwhile, I can try to, you know, play with options. Uh, Great. So yeah, you can see the preferences that everybody is having. Now, this is exercise for you to make think about your preferences, because uh, you can also see that why other people are preferring different formats. See, very less people are saying looking at learners, but even if there is a less percentage, that is also has very important impact when we teach. Okay. So for MOOCs, for LCM, I would for last few minutes I would talk about recommended video formats, so you can see which one is suitable for you. Okay, the first one is presentation using slides. We call it as a slide cast. So you have a presentation using slides, and uh, this could be a PPT or PDF presentation converted to a video with voiceover, and it will allow students to follow the lesson while they hear the instructor narrating about the content. Okay, maybe same way that what I am having, but this is a live interaction, but in a video you can have similar. Then To focus attention on the appropriate part of the slides, the teacher can use a pointer or annotate the slide during the narration, or you can highlight the particular part. That is what the slide cast. Then another video format is talking head, that is looking at the learners. So you could see that instructor, there is only instructor available. You can placement could be at center or any side if you just want to have a teacher. Okay, so this is a person talking without any other content shown on the screen for most of the time. Okay, so this gives student a feeling of making eye contact with the instructor. So when just instructor is talking, this gives a feeling of having an eye contact. Then this or these are useful when teacher wants to emphasize some point where the teacher's expression and the presence is really important, or using gestures, expressions, and especially for motivating students towards a certain topic. Okay, so there you can think of having a talking head. The third one is screencast, which is like you have said, writing and sketching on digital board. Okay, screencast where you have writing on digital whiteboard. So this is basically a screen capture of some software being used with your voiceover. It is useful when your teacher wants to demonstrate some action to be performed, maybe using some software. Correct? You can connect to your topics also. For example, if I'm talking about 3D modeling tool or MATLAB or some statistical analysis or some virtual lab or anything like that, or even teaching the PowerPoint also would do, or any development platform. Okay. Then the fourth one is a picture-in-picture mode. So this is like presenting while looking at the learners. So you have an instructor and the content as well. The content could be text, video, or graphics, anything. Okay. So this is specifically, especially a combination of multiple types, such as talking head shown in one corner of a slide cast. So this is slide cast, and one side you have a talking head. It's mostly useful when teacher wants to have eye contact as well as want students to emphasize, eye contact while emphasizing some text or content on the slide simultaneously. Correct? So this was presenting while looking at the learners, and there is another writing or explaining while looking at the learners. So you can have your digital board and you can keep writing as well as you can explain, or you can show your hands or something like that. So that is writing while looking at the learner. That is picture in picture. Another recommended video format would be tabletop. Okay, so you can simply figure out from the tabletop is this is a screen capture of freehand writing on tablet or a video of writing on paper. So if you simply want to explain something and you just want to write on a paper, you can simply use this particular format. Okay, it is as equivalent as working with a board in a classroom. Okay, so where this is useful, this is especially useful for step-by-step demonstration of some procedure or a problem solving or a deviation or something like that. And how to do that? Simply you just fix up your camera on the top of your table and you just record the video and have some narration on that. Correct? So this is how. So this is very famous video format that have been used in the recent times by most of the teachers, because the production, the accessibility to the resources was less, and they did not have the video labs or something. So they simply used their mobile phone, some stands, and recorded the videos like this. So yeah, this is one of the preferred in the recent times, but not for the Moocs. Okay, you can use this also. And then finally, you can think of video demonstration. This could be a real life video, like some equipment, some function, some parts, some processes being carried out. So this is useful when you actually want to show something that is happening in situ or in the live situation. Okay. So the last one on the list is, different transitions between the video formats. So in your video, you can have talking heads, screencast, picture in picture. So you can use multiple transition based on what is your intention or what is your reason of doing this, recording the video. Okay, so that is about all about different recommended video formats. You can later on explore more about this. So here I have a link to the LED constructor. I will just quickly make you go through this. I'll share the link so that if you are planning your MOOCs, it will be really useful. Otherwise, you can just keep it at the moment. So this is a very self-explanatory PowerPoint LED constructor. This is a template, and here are the guidelines how you can utilize it. So there is a steps. There are steps. Each step is very well described. So it will have all the things that I have been, I mean, not exactly all the things, but just specific to creating your LED, the video. Okay, where from selection of the topic, then identifying the breakpoints where you want to chunk, then titling your the LED, thinking about the examples, so you can write the breakpoints, then creating flow of the content where you can have identify reflection spot, one or multiple reflection spot. You can write about the reflection spot. Then the scripting is nothing but you just don't directly go on recording your videos, but create a script what exactly you will be talking when you will be recording the video. It will ease your recording or a production process. Okay, so what you'll talk during the content, what will you talk during the reflection spot, what will you talk after the reflection spot, something like that. So that is one of the crucial points. So once you are good with the scripting and everything, okay, then finally you can refine and practice these things and then go for recording. So this template is very well structured and which will help you, if you're planning to create your own LED. So this is just a broad overview for it. I'll share some resources so that you can, have more learning about it. Okay, so before I stop the session, I have a last reflection spot for you, last question for you. Okay, sorry, this is, I have to close. Okay, before the question, there are a few do's and don'ts that you can think of, especially eye contact. Try to have eye contact as if you're talking to the students. Keep your eyes on camera. Then don't restrict your gestures and movements even in online mode or creating MOOCs, LCMs, because that is how teacher can deliver better when they have a natural gestures and movements. Have try to practice your voice modulation before recording, even before the online lectures. The more natural you will have, more good impact it will have on learner. Then about the presentation part or selecting the background, try to have a nice and appropriate decent background so that it will not it will have calm impact on the learner. It should not be much more complex. Okay, then check your fonts, visibility, colors, everything, and so other factors before you record your video. Yeah, that's what I want to say, some do's and don'ts. Okay, so like I said, this is the last reflection spot for you. So think of, you have 6-minute video to be recorded. Okay, 6-minute video you want to record, and you're going very confidently in front of camera for recording it. Towards the end of the LED or the video, you committed some mistake, or you get fumbled, or some wrong sentence you have said. My question is, what will you do at that time? Okay, what will you do at this time? I want you to respond. It's very casual, simple question. Please post it in chat box. And how will you solve this particular problem? Which so expectation is, what will you do? How will you solve this problem? So you can read the slides before we can finish the session.
Yes, sir. May I speak?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay. So in such situation, if possible, some light humor can be created that I will see.
Okay.
So that it is a sporting attitude can be visible for the presenter.
Okay.
Second, if at all really some wrong words have gone, then if possible, I can edit that video that I will see, that particular part of the video. If I am doing asynchronous mode of video recording.
Okay, you're talking about asynchronous. Okay.
Yeah, if at all it is going on, then really cannot help me.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, definitely it is about, the recording part of it. So you always have a chance to, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Great.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you. So yeah, I could see that people are saying video editing, we'll edit it after recording. We can remake the video, we'll record that particular part again and edit the video. We can do retake or edit. Exactly. You all are saying the correct thing, and which is, yes, editing is possible. Correct.
So I look at it differently also.
Okay.
If we fumble, if we make mistakes, we can look at it. Oh, I will not make the same mistake, and yeah, we get more motivated. Next time we are more focused.
Okay, so you're taking this as a learning for your further production process. Yeah, definitely. That's there. Yeah, great. Thank you. Correct. So edit the video, editing is possible. Retake of same part. Yes, most of you are saying the what is apt and required here. So yeah, I would say that yes, you re-record that particular fumble or the mistaken sentence. Okay, but never start that sentence in between, which is recommended. Edit it out and keep the correct sentence. But recording the entire unit is a preferred solution depending on the fumble, okay, because it will create a clean LED video if it is a short. Yeah, but all over the responses are, the correct ones. I just wanted to close this part with this particular thing. So yeah, thank you very much. I will stop here. And I have covered just one element of the LCM, that is LED, because it takes other elements a lot of time to cover. So thank you very much for having me. Hope it was like I said, it was much of informative session. It is not similar to ICT where I have tried to engage in a lot of tech activities. Hope it was useful for you. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
I had a request, sir. I had a request.
Yeah.
If you are saying you have covered only one part here, LED, it will be really good for all of the teachers, because it shows that through the presentation you have talked about so many things and all the points were relevant, learner-centric, right? So if possible, if you have other aspects of this learner-centric Moocs, so please keep us informed when you are engaging other audience in the same line, please. It is a request from my side.
Sure. I mean, that is also possible. Otherwise, we can have a session at any time whenever it is possible or required. Not an issue, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So broadly telling you why this LED is important, because in this particular time it is more important to create a video. So that is really important aspect of the entire MOOC process. The other parts is more of, like I said, LBDs, where you have to design your activities, which are not necessarily in assessment. Then about giving them resources. So the certain limitations and problems we talked about, so how those can be tackled in the other aspects. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for your excellent session. And this is a beginning, and we will have such type of programs in coming future also. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
If the participants have any questions, please ask your questions. Participants? I think there are no questions. It was really elaborative, of course. Thank you, sir. Farzana madam, you can please continue.
Yes, sir. Firstly, I would like to thank Dr. Kapil Kadam, sir, for such a nice and interactive session on designing learner-centered MOOC courses. It was very helpful for us in this scenario, since online education is very important in this current situation, and students are learning from MOOC courses as well. So I would like to thank you again on the behalf of all VPKBIT faculty. And this session was very helpful to us. Sir discussed about LED concept as well as importance of reflection spot in between the teaching learning processes, which was really helpful and informative to us. So I would like to thank you again to Dr. Kapil Kadam sir, and I will stop here. Over to you, Sonone sir.
Thank you very much. I'll take your leave now. Thank you. Yeah.
Sir, can we have a photograph with you? Yes.
Sir, wait for a while.
Okay.
Let's have a photograph together.
All the
Okay,
participants, yes. Thank you, sir.
Sure,
Thank you.
sure.
All the participants, please switch on your cameras so that we can keep our memories live. Oh, many of them have switched on the camera. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. All the participants, thank you for being active throughout the sessions.
Yeah.
Please take care of your health. Good day.
Yeah. Thank you very
Any
much.